today? So last week we saw click to deploy, click to deployment plan, click to things, and today demos, din.
Sure, there's some more click to do things.
Who else? Well, slash what else? Nothing. Good. We'll see. Was there a topic also? Any topics if I want to talk about? If I'm missing something, so Seeker has a new avatar, but who cares? I think that's it. Good.
Hey, Sebastian, this is Lara. Maybe we can discuss shortly the workshops. Thank you.
Workshop topic. And okay, so triage, status update. So the 14th, so we merged some things, added tokenizable default value to ContentPickerFields. So now, so I'll let you accept people. So now in the ContentPickerFields on Orchard 1, you can define a default value to pre-select some items by passing templated content item IDs to the field. Can be useful. First time I've seen the requirement, and Matteo/Laser implemented it. Fixed error during indexing. They found some ref exceptions, I think, potential refs in indexing. They fixed. Added admin search permissions. Added admin search permissions. What was it about? Being able to search for specific content types. The idea is that it's already supported, but the menu was not taking that into account at first, and not just that. So maybe you had some. There is a link apparently per type to search for things, and then checking that you have the permission to also edit the content before generating a link, I think, to that. So that's good. Made RazorCompiler ILogger property public. So another PR from Stephen Dawkins on Orchard 1, but the dev branch, sorry, yeah, the 1.x release, which is making a property public on this one, so it can be changed. And I really need to find a setting that will just focus on this thing. I don't know. Maybe that's what I want. Maybe. If I keep going. Yeah, good. Awesome. So that's for Orchard 1. Orchard Core week 14th. So here I assume last time, fixed typos and docs from Antoine. More typos. Here and there. Make config keys compatible with Linux OS. I saw the PR. I looked at it many times. I never understood. So, explanation.
I wanted to ask, did you like my PR?
I didn't understand. But
So,
Dean and John Jerry were on there, so I'm like, okay, good hands. So
yeah, good call. No, I can briefly summarize what the issue was and why this PR was submitted. It has to do with hosting your Orchard website or any ASP.NET Core website in a Linux container. And I don't know the exact details, but it has to do with the environment variables that are being passed from Azure App Services to that container. Linux, this is my understanding, doesn't support environment names containing periods. So for that reason, many of these settings wouldn't be received when run from Linux because Azure App Service wouldn't be able to pass those app settings along. So for that reason, we had to get rid of the periods, and then we briefly had a discussion what would make sense, and it seemed to make sense to just use a single underscore.
Okay.
We also briefly discussed maybe flattening, or not flat, actually merging the hierarchies. For example, you could have orchardcore.media and then orchardcore.media.azure, and then making it like an hierarchical app setting. But the disadvantage of that would be that it will become unclear that one set of settings belong to one module and another set to another module. So we didn't touch any of that. So basically, this PR replaces the period with an underscore, and now it works in Linux. I was running into this issue when deploying my my first Orchard Core website that's going to go into production. It's not my own project, but for a customer. But I ran into this issue.
Where is this extension method used? Get section compat.
It's, I think, used in probably one or two places.
Here.
Yes, one place is here indeed. And this is the, I can see that file.
Get sections compat.
And basically what it does, it has backwards compatibility.
I see. Yeah,
built in.
it exists, it exists otherwise, or try with the underscore, try with the dots.
Exactly. So when creating new settings, use the underscore. I updated all of the other modules with the help of Jean Terry. And but we might have overlooked some of those things, but then it will still work. But the new default should be underscore. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. I understand. So environment variables can't contain dots, or at least in app service, it will have an issue if you have dots.
In combination with Linux, indeed. So and of course, app service on containers is always Linux, I guess, not Windows containers yet.
Well, yes. Well, I think there is an option, but nobody wants to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So if you were to choose Windows, it would mean an issue, but it's an issue on Linux.
Thank you. This one, adding support for in-select SQL statement. I know what it is about because I wrote something like every 2 years, I commit something to Orchard. And this is one of these. The idea is that Himanshu tried to do a PR, but it was supporting just a subset of the requirements. So I tried to make it more global. And the idea is that now if you, in a custom SQL statement that we parse for the queries module, the one that uses a generic SQL language that will translate it to any dialect we support, Postgres, MySQL, SQLite, SQL Server. If you use this language, now you can use select expression inside an in statement. So if you say in, before you could say a list of values, now you can say in another select. Okay, and this was not supported by the parser, so now it's supported by the parser and the translator. So that it's also now supporting the not in correctly, because it was not before. And also I found by doing that the not like was not working, so it's fixed also. Looking at the in, I saw it was not working with not, and looking at the not, I was like, it can't work with the like, so now the not like also works, and it was broken, and there are unit tests here. So that's the change. Support for in select statements. Marco Guig. documentation fix my field.text in the case of a text field. Okay. I assume it was value in Orchard 1, and if I wrote that, I was confused. Text. Fixes shape table providers. So there was an issue, I think, with the way you would be able to override a template from a module, but override a template for a dependent module from your module. And this change will look for shape templates in a module for any first level dependencies. And apparently it's also improving performance. Well, it's supposed to improve performance because there will be less shape templates loaded in memory. But that's the fix. Fixing shape template providers for dependent features. And if you want, so it's just the first level. So if you have a feature depending on another feature, then you won't be able to override the second level feature. You will have to depend on that. And it makes sense because you are creating a template for the second level feature, so you can depend on that because you expect it to be there. Fix widget list missing the name when inserting. Layers, I assume, didn't work correctly because it's using a wrong property apparently. So we trust in. Why doesn't Din have a gravatar like Sipke?
Maybe I have not activated my profile.
You do? You should. Well, let me check actually, commit. There is an email address associated to it, so you should create your gravatar profile with this email address.
I think I have one, but maybe it just says DM.
Update doc links. Okay. Add ability to restrict widgets within a flow part. Not sure people have seen that because I saw that and I merged it. I agreed with the feature and the implementation. I didn't give enough time maybe for everyone else to look at it. The idea is that the same as with back parts, I assume. Yeah, so when you create a flow part, now you can decide what content types you want to be able to use in a flow part. Can be super useful, like if you create a form page type with a flow part for it, you could then decide to just allow for form elements, for form widgets. And I apologize for using the word elements for form widgets inside this page or this form type. So that can be super useful. Or anything else, like if you want to create, I don't know, anything, but you want to limit what kind of widgets are available for this type, then that's what you would do.
Does it still allow you to just have all widgets?
Yes, if you don't select anything, it will allow for everything.
Right.
Which means it's backward compatible. Beautiful. So that's why I merged it, because yeah. Good job. I'm eager to seeing some websites from Peter and his colleagues move to, well, ETH company now. So I want to see new websites. I'm not sure we've seen any, have we? I think they released one, but I'm not sure.
I saw a couple of game websites because they do game websites. Yeah. Was it a few months ago?
Yeah, and so the first major website I've seen from them in Orchard 1 was Fable Legends, which was, I think, a very famous game which never shipped. And it was a nice website, but I don't know of any sites with Orchard Core they have shipped yet. So, but they're super active, right? They have like 10, if not 20 modules on GitHub for Orchard Core. The SEO modules, all the very nice search modules, widgets modules. Yeah, so yeah, I want to see more sites from them. I can check my list later. I have a list. Maybe I already have one. Oh, is there a feature? Let me stop my screen share. Stop sharing. Okay, it's recording. Now I will look at my list. Give me 1 second. Anyone can find the sites I have on my list, but I don't want to take any risk, so I won't share it. So I'm looking. It should take 10 seconds now. I'm on the list and I have one. Apparently they made the move2.com site, but I'm not sure they will release it anytime because now they've been acquired. Ah, I found one. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, okay, yeah, 2 of them. We talked about it actually. We talked about it. So let me close my window and share again. I'm back. Yeah, we talked about it during a meeting. These 2 sites, Raise the Game and modernworld.net, the 2 sites. And this one, and probably there are more now, but at least these ones are not cool. Yep, cool. Looks nice. Beautiful. Okay, going on. Add so people to contributors list. Maybe something to do when we see PRs. If we see there are new contributors, just put a comment on their PR to say, can you also add your name on the contributors list? And after some time, I assume they will do it by themselves. Well, that's kind of hard. What is that? What, I have to enter everything here? Contributions?
No, there is a CLI, and with a command line, you can
so you do that
add user and some kind of contribution, a type of contribution, because it's not only for code. For example, today I added Steven Spitz as a with the type question because he was answering questions on Gitter.
Okay. Translations, I see also.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I don't think we've looked at the updated generated file. Oh yes, we looked at it. Okay. Why don't I have the content badge? Dude.
Are you writing some content?
What is content?
Good question. I don't know. I am doing.
Why don't I have a translation thing?
Are you translating?
Well, sure, in my head. What is the IS reviewed pull requests, code translation, tutorials. Interesting. What is that? Design. What is that? Tools. Dude, I'm missing so many badges. Now it will be like a game. Get all the badges. Blog posts. Is there a badge with videos? Because I made videos. I didn't do blog posts, but I did videos.
Yeah, I can add you as a contributor that makes videos.
Dude, I did a blog post, I think, on ASP.NET website. So, and I'm sure Nemanja provided some Serbian translation. Your tool is bullshit.
Yeah. I activated it, and it didn't.
And that's the name. Okay, look, you even have the old avatars. You need to rewrite your tool. And he's got the thing here, the blog post. I don't have it. So unfair.
Actually, that's the correct picture. That's how it's configured in GitHub. So the tool works.
Event org. Oh my god, where do you go? Dude, I organize Orchard Harvest.
Yes.
Well, we haven't done one for Orchard Core yet, but I started organizing it, even other people. So even Sipke might get the organizing event stuff.
I can add it.
You see, videos. I did videos.
Mhm.
Ah, it would be a full-time job now. I want all the badges. Like Nick. Oh, he only did some code. Interesting. Tools. Alexander did tools. He did the CI, the first CI Laveyor.
Code and Russian.
Okay, so you're not reliable. I'm not talking about you. Okay. Too many issues. You need to automate more to find all the tools we use. So remove Site.Meta, okay, the feature we talked about last week, and there is a new PR assumed to move it somewhere else in the feature. What would be nice, if not today, maybe next week, to have a custom settings demo. Why? Because it's a feature that was made 2 years ago, and I made it, and I didn't know it existed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're talking with Dean that we realized it was existing, and Dean talking with Antoine that reminding him, hey, I use it all the time. Look at that. And I looked for, so I saw the code, and since I saw the code, I'm like, yeah, it's perfect. It does what we want. And I looked for when we committed it on the repository first 2 years ago. I couldn't find a demo on the meetings. I'm sure there is one, but if we did a new demo, then I'm sure Lombik will make a short demo, tweet and video about that, and that's super useful. So the idea is that you can create a custom type, put it as a custom setting stereotype, and it will be like a setting assigned to the site instance that you can reuse. It's like a singleton. So we need to do a demo for that next week. Localize doc node. Do I get a badge if I do a demo?
No.
Are you going to make a video of it?
No, I mean, we need a demo, like during a meeting, and then Lombik will make a video of it because we record the demos, right? So
Lombik needs a lot of badges for videos, I think.
yeah. Well, I'm sure they have. Badge crowding. Okay.
So have a talker contribution because you talk a lot.
Maybe. Too much? Be careful. I can mute you. Upgrade dependencies. The basic. Oh, something I would love, because you update many dependencies all the time. At least if you could give a one-liner about what's new in this version.
Mm-hmm.
Because it might be super interesting to know that, for instance, MarkDig 0.20 is faster than 0.18. Or what MailKit fixes or improved with this version. You see, that might be super interesting. Or if there is a security issue that's fixed, just for us to know, because here we have no idea. I'm sure it's better, but we have no idea what. I know that MarkDig is faster. I don't know for the rest. Like, that would be cool. And maybe the bots can do that. I don't know if they can check release notes and copy the release notes in the PR. Fixes AdminOptions resolution. Okay. Yeah. Deployment plan search. So a new text box. So you can filter the deployment plans from the admin. And also bulk actions.
Yes. Bulk delete.
Okay, bulk edit, wow. Reminder that whenever you accept a post, the answer should be a redirect. So that's good here, but just for those who don't realize, I might forget also. So abstractions, and also when you reference something from a module, it has to be an abstraction, not another module. Move HeadMeta section. I assume some layout were wrong. HeadMeta after everything else. Why?
Niraj was asking to put this at the end as it is done in admin.
Okay.
It's so you can override CSS because if it's at the top, not possible.
Makes sense. Good. It's like, you know, when command line takes precedence over environment variable, which takes precedence over whatever default in your app. The same thing like layout takes precedence, well, custom admin takes precedence over default in layouts and so on. Fixes move HtmlFields media model in footer. Okay.
So there was an issue sometimes in the flow part when you were reusing them, where if the modals were rendered in line, they didn't work out completely. So here we're just moving it to the modal itself to the footer.
Good. Content culture picture shape documentation. Okay. Target new tab when viewing media. You know, Laravel is for you. You need to find someone to do creating a multilingual website workshop. Target new tab when viewing media. Maybe ask Shasma. Shasma should be able to do that. Lombic for sure.
Jean-Philippe.
Or Jean-Philippe. Jean-Philippe has a job. He's not a contractor or so. Media, new tab when viewing media, target new tab when viewing media. Oh, the issue I filed, yes. Yeah, I was surprised. I was showing some features and then I wanted to select an image. So I was writing a blog post and I wanted to select the banner image. And I clicked by mistake on the view link of the media. It opened the media in the same page, so I lost my blog post. So now it's opening a new window, and this way I can't lose my blog post. Sort item collections on access. No.
Well, we have comments all through the shape providers to always use shape.add so that they're sorted. But then when you access the items collection, they're not sorted.
Why? It was on purpose. They are not sorted one, but you should always use add. Why are they not sorted? I will look at it. So what's the issue? I need to look at it. I saw it going, but I didn't take the time to check. Well, someone merged some issues today. Some PRs, 21st. Oh my god.
So everywhere in the menu shapes where you render when you're doing the items, you check if there's items in it, and then you render model.items, but they're not sorted.
But when they were added, they should have been sorted.
They don't get sorted on add. If you look at the file, it only sorts it when it enumerates. The add only the add puts a position wrapper around it, but it doesn't actually sort the list. But if you look lower down, you'll see that when you enumerate them, they're sorted.
Oh, okay, that's where. When we enumerate the shapes, but the dot items.
Yeah, so when you enumerate dot items, they're not sorted, but when you enumerate just shape, they are.
So this thing is enumerable. And this is what happens when we get the enumerator. It's sorted at that point. I skipped it too fast. Here. Okay. So why do we use items then?
So in all the menu templates, if you're rendering your menu item, we use items there. We don't just enumerate the model, we enumerate model.items.
That's interesting.
So it could be that the issue is how we're doing it there. But I was trying to put a menu together which used half to get the last item in there.
I assume items is unnecessary in this case because it's just enumerable of dynamic. So if you can just enumerate it, which means you can just use this instance and do the same thing with this instance. So maybe this thing is, so I won't change anything. It's good. It's optimized, the same thing, the same way it's using the enumeration just once, so that's good. Nothing to change here. Nitpicking will be, you could have called something called ensure sorted and have it only once implemented and not copy paste the full implementation. Neat. So nobody cares. What's interesting here is that actually we don't need items, but because it's actually doing the same thing as enumerating the shape itself. Okay, all good. Returning null in case, not finding the entry. So I had nothing to say to it. It's just that if you are trying to access a property, you will get null. Maybe it was just throwing an exception before. Remove items, and it's in the workflow. Yeah, in the workflow. Remove items from media cache when events fired. This one, I saw the title. Remove items from media cache. Looks like a big change. Default media file store cache event handler. So you clean the media folder while the cache when we edit the media?
Yeah, so cleans when you delete and when you rename or when you move files around. There was an old PR, it's been sitting there for a while. I think somebody just merged it. We still need to, I wasn't actually expecting it to be merged because we're still working with Jean-3 on how we do this for distributed.
Yeah, I was about to ask. Whenever there is caching, then what's the behavior with distributed?
Yeah, we're still kind of working through that. He's doing some work on it, and I need to catch up with him.
And it's not a custom feature, it's the by default behavior.
Yeah.
So it has to be safe. Like, it has to work and not fail anything. Okay. Change confirm bulk action message. Okay. Update contributor. Fix typo options text area. Oh, that's it. Because I couldn't find it when I looked at the PR. Okay. That's the T here. Okay. All good. Comments or just demos. So this one and then workshop. Dean, you can share. You are muted, Dean. Dean is still muted. Now he's not muted.
I think there's too many windows open on his computer. He can't find anything. Okay, so this is just a continuation from last week on the click to deploy feature that I started working on. And I've added a bunch of other features to go with it because everyone wanted something different, so everyone gets what they want. So to remind anybody that didn't see it last week, the idea was to be able to deploy or export items directly from the content admin list. So the first feature that was part of it was this one here, which when you've selected the content item allows you to automatically run a custom recipe and create a file locally or deploy something to a remote instance.
Or to anywhere, as long as you have a custom target.
Or to anywhere, except for the bug there where that didn't work. Interesting. I haven't tried that feature recently. What I've also added to this one was the ability to add things to an existing deployment plan, not necessarily run them. So if we were to do this, then we get a list of deployment plans pop up, and we'll add it to this plan. And then if I go in and we can have a look at this plan, then you'll see that it's, well, there's 3 added here because I added a couple of test ones before, making sure that some things worked. So we now have a content item step in here, which has been added automatically. And if you look at it, if you edit it, you can have the content item is being put in there directly for you.
Is that a new thing?
Yeah, it's a new thing.
No. I mean, this content step, this step.
The step is new.
Yeah, that's okay. That's a weird step.
Yeah, I made the step to go with, well, because you said last week, make it so it adds to a deployment plan. So
yeah, but why did you copy the code, the content?
Well, you've got to put it in there.
No. Well, I'm not saying it's invalid. It's not useful, but you see, I mean, I was expecting that you will add the content item logical reference to it so that if tomorrow I want to re-execute my deployment plan, it will redeploy the content item and not the old version of the content item.
We could do that too. One of the reasons I added this in is because it actually gives you the ability to go in and change it afterwards. So you can now just tweak it if you want to.
Yeah, but then tweak your content item and then it will. That's weird. I will not use that. It's work. I mean, it's good code, but that's a weird feature to add a specific version to deployment plan. And if you change the content item, then you are still deploying the old version. People will be so confused.
So we can take a reference to the reference to the version ID.
Yeah, just the content item ID or the version. So it could be two things like the version or the, but I would say just the content item ID because that's what you want usually. You want to add this content item to the deployment plan so that when you trigger the deployment, it also uploads this content item every time because it makes it updated on the destination server. And this view is nice because that's exactly why I wanted the other link, which is view content item, to see the thing, or maybe to be able to edit a specific version like this, which might be also super useful. But yeah, sorry.
No, that's all right. That's the next feature.
And I don't want to be the only one to say that or to say the opposite of that. If anyone has any comment.
So I guess I kind of did this based on the existing plans that were there, which was content types and all content types. Look, it can work either way. The version ID is in some ways more useful. Well, maybe, because you'll see.
Yeah, and so you're saying content types I assume they're also logical reference to the type and not copying when we create the step. Are they?
No, they're not. They're created at the time.
And if I change the type, it won't take the new type into.
If you change the type, it wouldn't take the new type into account.
That's bad.
No.
Then the same issue.
But you can't change types, can you?
No, what I mean is
Not-
that it should be a logical reference to a type. So like
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
a logical
export,
reference. Yeah.
export page, not export this content type and all its properties. It's export page. Whatever page is when I run the plan. That's what should be it.
Cool. I think I added this one because there was a lot of talk about doing stuff with workflows and wanting to tweak items, and this was a way to tweak items here. But we can do it maybe with version ID, maybe with content item ID. I'll show you in a sec, because if I was to, well, okay. Next feature was you wanted just plain JSON. So we ended up with two here. One was viewers JSON, which just gives you a plain view. I haven't enabled editing on this.
And the best feature, the copy.
Yeah, you've got the copy. Oh, I forgot to do the cursor pointer. But yeah, you've got copy. Or if you want to, you can then export it out and have the JSON as a file.
Call it download.
Download?
Yeah.
We can do that. That's an easy change. And I added that as a direct target here as well. So you can view it, you can then download it, export it, or you can then just export it straight as JSON directly from here. What I also did, which is kind of optional, but why I say that about the version reference, if I draft this, enable the ability to, when it works, come on computer, see the draft or see the published, and to do the same with exporting to a deployment plan or to or adding it to a deployment plan. So you could move your drafts over. Maybe that's too confusing and
at least maybe a section we should have at the top. Maybe
yeah, I need to underline.
To split draft from published version. That would be easier. That's good.
So that's why probably in the export I would hang on to the version ID rather than the content item ID.
Yeah, in my case it was more the content item ID because that has to follow whatever the published version is that you want to deploy, because you always, well, or the two of them. But the step itself should be logical reference, not the content.
Yeah. So maybe if you're exporting, if you're adding the published one to a deployment plan, it adds the content item ID reference, so it's always the latest published one.
Yeah, maybe it's an option, maybe it's a flag on the deployment step, just to say publish, draft, both, whatever.
Yeah, could be. Could work. Yeah, so that's that little feature.
It's good.
A couple of little tweaks to do and we'll do it.
You had fun. These are easy, relaxing features to implement because not much technical difficulties, but super useful.
Exactly. Oh, that's why I did it, is because this one I'll actually use myself on a daily basis.
Yeah, whereas workflows will be like, yeah, I know what it looks like now.
Yeah, because workflows are so hard. Like to actually get the JSON right, you've got to go to your database, you've got to cut and paste some stuff around, especially if you don't know what a content item looks like.
And you're lucky you know that you need to do that. Most people don't know that they need copy paste stuff or put some JSON here or some liquid or both.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we could have a feature here. Maybe one day maybe Sipka will write a feature to add it to a workflow. Yeah, so that's that one. Nice and simple. I'll finish that off and hopefully we'll get it in.
Thank you.
Just so everybody knows as well, they are all features.
Yes.
So
if you think it's bloated, it's not because it's bloated, it's because you decided to make it bloated.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the one other thing as well, in terms of permissions, so you don't get any more permissions for exporting or viewing. You just need to have the export permission, which is a deployment plan permission.
Okay.
If that, because it makes more sense, you know. Everything is tied to deployment here; they're all related.
Good. Good. Thank you. An update also on the other PR. What did we talk about last time? We talked about import, which is kind of related.
Yeah, so I did this. This one is the fun feature after having sorted import. We'll merge that probably next week, I hope, when I get a chance to get back on it. But it will resolve some of the issues that you'll get, or you can get, when you're deploying existing content to an existing site. Which that's what's the word?
Idempotency.
Excellent. I can't pronounce that one. So the idea is that at the moment there's a little bit of an issue where if I deploy this piece of content to one of the other sites, it's not working at the moment. If I deploy this and then I re-edit it here and make another version and I deploy it again, the other site gets confused about which one is the published version and which one is the latest version. So we've introduced some ways to make it figure that out. So that as you deploy content, it will replace, if you deploy a published version, it will replace the published version on the site you're deploying to, if the site has a published version. And for example, if you deploy, if you have a staging site here, or say this is my development site, and you deploy you create a draft item on your production site, and then you deploy over the top of it, it will remove that draft, because otherwise that draft would be kind of orphaned as such, because you've introduced a new version. If that makes sense.
Not sure. I mean, I understood what you said, and I'm not sure it makes sense to remove the draft. Maybe you still run the draft and just update the published version. I assume when all these combinations will be listed and maybe documented just with a matrix of what's happening when you import such a version, then it will make people understand what's obvious, what's not obvious, and how it should behave.
Yeah, that is something I will write in the documentation, but it had to be quite specific, because otherwise you would never know whether your draft was from the import or whether your draft was existing, and whether it had been updated to reflect the imported values.
Yeah, well, you make a decision based on your knowledge. We'll see how it goes. Trust you. You have reasons, so.
Yeah, well, I could all wear wrong, but we can fix that.
I can give some advice about changing the text of a button, at least.
So what do you want? You want this one called download, do you?
The button, yeah, maybe the same thing for this one. As long as it's downloading a file, call it download, so people are not surprised that they get a file in the bottom when they click the thing. It's downloading something.
Download button. That one I can change. Cool. Okay then.
Yeah, you don't even need to say JSON download. Boom, they will get it. I hope they don't expect to get an image of the content item, but yeah, nobody will.
Yeah, just
good.
Call it
Awesome.
to be specific.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Larem, your turn.
Okay, can you hear me now, Sebastian?
Yes.
Okay, Hi, folks. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. I just wanted to say thank you to Sebastian for tweeting the workshop. I didn't see it at first, but I just saw it a while ago, and so I retweeted it. And also would like to say thank you to Antoine for making the workshop page look nice, and also for both Dean and Antoine as they're preparing for the first two workshops. The first one's going to happen in May 9th, and the second is going to be on May 16th. And I just want to give a short update in terms of who has signed up. We have 5 people who signed up for workshop 1, 9 people for workshop 2, 7 for workshop 3, 7 for workshop 4, and 6 for the 5th workshop. So I think we're getting some traction.
That's good.
Yeah, and so if I may ask the folks here, if you can help spread the word, maybe retweet what the tweet coming from Sebastian, or if you have other ideas on how I can spread the word further, please you can drop an email, or maybe you can make any suggestions now, so that we can advertise or tell people there are workshops available for those who want to jumpstart their Orchard core skills. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's good. Well, if you say something like 5, 7, 8, something like that, it's almost to the. Oh, there is not a min for Dean yet, but yeah, we're almost good for everything. The difference between the min and max is small, so the window is short. That's good. That, and from there, sign up link. Okay, awesome. London time, 10 a.m., 5 p.m. I'd have to wake up super early. Pacific time, 8 a.m., 4 p.m. That will be fine. 8 plus 8 for London, right? 10 minus 8. Oh, it's 2 a.m. PST. Okay. Interesting. Have you talked about having the same session like a few days apart, but with different time zones?
We haven't discussed that yet, Sebastian, but that's a good idea. Maybe I'll let's get this one work. Let's get the workshop rolling first, and then after we do the first two, maybe we can evaluate and see how to.
Maybe you had this discussion and you had already thought about that. Maybe that would explain why, like, Antoine has more attendance than this one. These ones don't have any date, and maybe not because this one don't have any date so far. So I mean, that might not be the reason. But I know that for sure, if that's the time, then you can't get US people. Even East US will be -5, which is 5 a.m. Nobody will wake up at 4 to go to a workshop at 5. At the same time, if you do it too early, then you miss up Europe, and then yeah. So that's why I'm saying maybe you need actually 2 slots to target.
Yeah, I couldn't decide on what the best time was, so I just picked one that didn't have me staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning running it.
Yeah, I get it. Even this one. 8 a.m. It's like 7 a.m. for UK, and oh no, this is Pacific Standard Time. Sorry, so this one is Pacific time, which means +8. That's good for US, but that's bad for Europe. I mean, there is no perfect solution in this case. So yeah, so.
No, but I mean, I don't mind if people are liking them and they're successful. I don't mind doing another one. The next month if there's enough people that are interested in finding a time that works for people. I'm
sure there should be enough people for both, for these time zones like Europe, US, then Asia to be seen. But yeah, there are many people in Europe and many people in US. So that's okay. Okay, just wondering if that was an option you talked about. You see, middle of the night doesn't work for everyone. There are people that work in the middle of the night. I can do the second one with a different time zone. Yeah, okay. Then maybe start with the first one, and then if it's successful, then schedule the next one even soon after. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe wait a few months and I'll be moved back to New Zealand and we can do it a completely different time zone again.
What's the name of the time zone? Oceania or what? New Zealand time zone?
NZT.
NTT. Okay. All good. Time questions, topics, comments. Did I miss anything? No news about harvest. Okay, that's not a surprise. It's live. I hope you all do well for work and for health. You don't want to kill your relatives. I might want to sometimes. Too boring, too much people in my house, too many.
Maybe
questions?
you could plan a virtual harvest.
Yes. We talked about it. It's a lot of work, and you have workshops to prepare. I think that's the first good step. When was
After
it?
1.0?
Yeah, why not?
In September.
When did we?
It was supposed to be in June.
No, I'd like to do some things like this, live streams and videos before, and we have mini workshops and mini workshops prepare longer. So you're doing that. That's good. These are more and next step in terms of involvement. Okay. If that was the case, I would rather try to plug into one of these that Donate Foundation or Channel 9 is organizing. So we don't have to care about that, but just say, okay, there is a slot for Orchard. We'll maybe have like 3, 4, 5 talks, and that will be much easier for everyone, attendees and speakers. So something we can look into. If you have dates for the next events, I haven't checked, and you think that will make sense to have a slot, like a parallel slot for that.
Yeah, virtual Azure Day in June, I think, and the sessions are open.
I need to talk then to whoever is organizing it.
It was the first one in March, and you see in June there is a speaker call. You can submit a, and you can do it in different languages. You can do it in English. You can do it on the French track.
Like to speak. Okay, that's one way to do that, and that's an Azure event. It's interesting. It's not like the ones from .NET events. Might be different. Might be more interesting. And I know there are the other little fun, like they did one for Xamarin. They did one for Visual Studio, maybe, or .NET development. So, okay, let's look at what are the options and see if we can have from them a dedicated track, which will be a parallel track. All good then. Thanks everyone. See you on Thursday, 10 AM. I think like everyone from the triage likes this time because it's earlier for Europe, and even for West US it works fine. Okay, triage 10 AM on Thursday. Bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye guys.